everybody. Welcome to Phil and Dave's Excellent Adventures. Just Dave here. Today we were talking about the movie Confess, Fletch. This is going to be a spoiler review, so if you are concerned about spoilers, I would suggest you go ahead and watch the movie first before you watch this review. So, Confess, Fletch is another Fletch movie. This one is based on the series of novels by Gregory Mcdonald, was his name, right? Yeah. And this one is about Fletch. Finds out that a woman who he's dating has a dad, Baron. He owns some paintings, and he gets wrapped up in a murder mystery. He's staying in a house and finds a dead body, and they suspect him of murder, among other things. So, as far as what I liked about the movie, overall, I like the cast. We've got Jon Hamm in here as Fletch. That's his first time as Fletch, the first person other than Chevy Chase to play the role, and I think overall he did a pretty good job with it. You know, it's a very much the same style of humor as the Fletch movies that Chevy Chase did, but I feel like he also kind of makes the role his own, and I think he's pretty believable as the character of Fletch. I like Marcia Gay Harden as the Baroness in this. She's doing a pretty good Italian accent, and I enjoyed her character a lot. MacLachlan as the sort of what's the word, germophobic fine art dealer, I guess is what he is. I don't know what his job is, but he's the guy who's got the paintings, or he's trying to sell the painting. Roy Wood Jr. is in here as Inspector Monroe or Detective Monroe. John Slattery from Mad Men, of course, who worked with Jon Hamm on that show, is in here as his former editor. Aidan Myeri is the young sort of police detective. I liked her a lot, actually. And Eugene Merman has a bit role in here as an overzealous boat security guy. I don't know what you call it, dock security. Eugene Merman, of course, plays Gene on Bob's Burgers. So it's funny because he sounds exactly like Gene from Bob's Burgers, and he kind of looks like what Gene would probably look like grown up. So it's always funny to see him and stuff. Other than that, I like the comedy in the movie. It's very much the same style of Fletch kind of comedy, sort of subtle, not too over the top or anything like that, but also very kind of smart ass and very dad joke kind of stuff, which is always pretty good, and just random little non sequiturs that he says and then doesn't really explain. There's a part toward the end where Roy Wood Jr. says like, "Oh, good job getting in here. I couldn't have done that." And he goes, "Oh, because you're Jewish? L'chaim." And just no explanation, no, nothing else, no response to that. Just like, okay, so just dumb, goofy stuff like that, just very much, the steak sandwich and steak sandwich kind of stuff. That probably doesn't work for everybody, but I like it. And I think, I think Fletch is very much the kind of thing, at least the first movie and the second movie as well. Guys, at least my age, seem to love Fletch. Overall, I thought the story was pretty good in this one. I thought it was a pretty compelling story. I was curious to know what was going on, and admittedly, I didn't really understand. I didn't figure it out beforehand or anything like that, so thought that was pretty satisfying. And I like the ending in this, in that it sort of seemed like maybe they were leaving it open to a sequel, maybe not. It also seemed like maybe Fletch was fine being on vacation and relaxing out there with his famous what was it, a Picasso painting, I think. Yeah. As far as my dislikes in this, Lorenza Izzo is in here as the girlfriend character. I didn't hate her. I actually thought her performance was fine. But I know her mostly from the Eli Roth movies, and I believe she, if not currently, at least at one point was dating him. So I've really only seen her in Eli Roth movies. So I guess I've just kind of always assumed she kind of got the role because they were dating or something like that. But she's fine. I don't dislike her performance necessarily. I just didn't really love her character too much. Some of the editing in this is pretty questionable. There's a couple jokes that they say that I think are pretty funny, but then they cut so quickly to the next scene that it doesn't give you enough time to really laugh or react to the joke. So in some ways, I feel like the editing in this didn't really seem to make sense. It didn't, not for a comedy at least. The way that it was edited, it seemed like it undermined some of the jokes and the humor, and I'm surprised by that. I don't really understand the reasoning for that. And again, I'm sure Greg Mottola is the guy who directed this. I'm sure he knows more about comedy than I do, but to me, if I were doing it, I would have kind of let those scenes, give them a little more chance to breathe, let people kind of get the joke more. But maybe they were going for more of a police squad, rapid fire jokes, catch it on the next viewing kind of thing. I'm not sure. The movie is a little too silly. It's a little hard to take it seriously when Fletch is always joking about everything all the time, despite people dying and somebody pulls a gun on him and he's still like making jokes and everything. That is Fletch. That's his style of humor. That's the way that it's always been. But it does kind of undermine the importance of the plot a little bit when everything's kind of just so silly. And as much as I like the painting plot and everything, the ending where Fletch ends up getting the paintings, the guy go, "Oh, why don't you just keep them?" Seemed a little too convenient for me, I guess. But I did like that he went and he sent some paintings out to people, and he sent some money to the one guy who tried to kill him because he thought he had killed his girlfriend, wife, fiance, I'm not sure. And he kept one for himself. He sent one to his former editor, who of course threw it away. That was kind of funny, you know. So overall, pretty good stuff there, but not perfect. Other than that, the movie is directed by Greg Mottola. He's known for directing Superbad. He did Paul, and he did Adventureland, which he also wrote Adventureland. And it was this movie, I believe, was based on the Gregory Mcdonald book, but written by Greg Mottola and Zev Borow, who's a guy who mostly does TV stuff. He wrote a bunch of Chuck, the TV show Chuck, and then he did a couple episodes of Outer Range and an episode of the Lethal Weapon TV show that came out recently. So I believe he's mostly all worked in TV. Like I said, it's based on the book by Gregory Mcdonald. He wrote a whole series of Fletch books. I don't even know, 15, 20, something like that. I've got them all on my tablet, and I have not read any of them yet. But one of these days, I mean to. So some of his other books have been adapted. Fletch and Fletch Lives were adapted with Chevy Chase in the 80s. And I think Fletch is universally regarded as one of the greatest, most quotable kind of movies all time. And people of a certain age just love that movie, and I'm one of those people. Fletch Lives, maybe not quite as much. That's the one where he goes to the mansion in Georgia, is it? Yeah, I didn't like that one quite as much, but there's a whole series of Fletch novels they can adapt. And for a long time, they were trying to adapt Fletch 1, which was not the first novel, but chronologically it was the first. I think sort of a prequel. And there were times they were talking about doing that with Kevin Smith, and he wanted Jason Lee as Fletch. I think he also talked about like Will Smith as Fletch and a couple other people. Bill Lawrence from the Scrubs TV show was going to do it with Zach Braff at one point. Jason Sudeikis was attached as Fletch at one point, and I even read Joshua Jackson from Dawson's Creek was attached as Fletch at some point. I can maybe see Jason Lee pulling it off, or Jason Sudeikis. I don't know so much about Zach Braff or Joshua Jackson. But yeah, Fletch is a likable character. I think maybe Ryan Reynolds was in the running at one point, maybe with the Kevin Smith one. I could see that. He could pull that off. Fletch in the books is supposed to be, kind of a funny, fast-talking character, but he's also supposed to be a good-looking guy who women fall in love with frequently. So someone like Jon Hamm, women seem to like him a lot. Chevy Chase, I guess, was popular with women in the 80s, but there's one character, Monroe, who's played by Roy Wood Jr., but in the books, the character is actually Francis Xavier Flynn. They had to change the name because Greg Mcdonald wrote a series of books with that character, Francis Xavier Flynn, and they couldn't use him for the book because apparently they did not own the rights to him. So, like I said, the movie ends in a way that looks like it can maybe be open for sequels. So if they want to do a series of Fletch movies with Jon Hamm as Fletch, or even a TV series with Jon Hamm as Fletch, I would totally watch it. I think this was a fun, enjoyable movie, and I liked watching it, and I would definitely watch it again. So I think my score for this one would be a 7 out of 10. I liked it pretty good. I thought it was a pretty good adaptation of Fletch, and it met the standards of the previous Chevy Chase movies, and certainly better than I would have seen it with Joshua Jackson or Zach Braff, I guess. So if you saw the movie, let me know what you think of it down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great night, and I will see you here again next week.